Good Sunday afternoon. So today is once again the second Sunday of the sprint, which means it's time to go over the progress that I've made over this sprint. If you remember last sprint, I talked about the future of the project, or at least the near future, the roadmap towards releasing a Steam page, etc. And I also discussed what I wanted to do each sprint. And for this sprint, the finishing of the home base was on the planning. And I have some great news. I actually managed to get it done. I am incredibly happy with how it turned out. So I'll go and show you right now. Let's get into it. All right, so in Unity right now, as you can see, this home base is looking a lot more alive than it was last time. It's got some bricks now. It's got actually colored windows. There's a roof. The front door has colors. The garage, it's still fully furnished, but this also has textured walls now. I said I would find new props for the desk chair and the laptop, but I didn't end up having to do that as I just retextured it, and now they look a lot better. So I'll also show you one more little thing I did that was also on the planning for this one. It is the sitting animation. It wasn't the going from standing to sitting animation, but just an idle sitting animation when you open the laptop. Now, it is a bit difficult to see as there is a sample UI over it. But if I now press E to interact, you will see that my character sits down. It doesn't really go into the right position yet, but it doesn't necessarily need to either, I think. And then when I press escape, it gets up. Now, when I was working on this earlier, I actually came across a really funny bug. I'll show you in just a second. But it was when I sat down, apparently when it entered the animation, it still had momentum from either the walking or the jumping that the character did, and it just levitated upward very slowly without me touching any buttons. It was quite an easy fix. As you just saw, I already managed to get rid of that bug, but I'll show you a clip right now. So then, I believe the plans that I had for this sprint were to finish the exterior, which as you can see I have done. There is textures on all sides, top, bottom, left, right, front, and the back. There's also textures on the ceiling and the floor right here. I am not entirely certain about this darker brick texture for the garage yet. Let me know what you think of that. So that is subject to change if I decide that is what needs to happen. Then I also wanted to finish the interior, which for this only included finding new textures for the laptop and the desk chair and adding the textures to the glass beer bottles here. And then you may or may not have noticed, but I also retextured the ceiling fan, and I moved it a little bit further away from the entrance so that the garage door, that's obviously not here, but the imaginary garage door doesn't hit the ceiling fan off the ceiling when it opens. It just looks much more alive now and not dysfunctional, I guess. Then I also wanted to have finished the sitting animation, which, as I just showed you works. You don't snap into the chair yet, but that is a fix for a later day. That was also not on the planning either. So in my eyes, that is the planning complete. Now, what will I do for the next sprint? Let's go into Trello. Now, the goals for sprint 6, I already mentioned them in my last sprint review on the roadmap towards my Steam page, but I'll go over them again here to refresh our minds. So the first goal is to create multiple citizen designs. This isn't a reality where cloning is a mainstream common thing. It's just normal people, right? Obviously, there's going to be some repetition here and there, but I'm going to try my best to create a good amount. I'd say 5 or 10 to begin with, depending on how long each one ends up taking. Then I'm going to go look for a stance where they're standing still or walking with their phone in the hand, or I can find a walking animation and a holding phone stance and kind of merge those together. And I also want to make the phone that they're holding a light source. Then I want to add both the idle and the walking animations, which I just also mentioned. And then I also want to add a short looping script that controls the walking of the NPCs. So yeah, it's a bit of designing, it's a bit of structural coding, and that's about it. So once again, today there is a lot more progress than there was visible progress last week. I am incredibly happy with it. And with that, I think I'm going to end the video here. Thank you very much for watching again, and then I will see you again in 2 weeks.